Good morning, everybody. Smiley here. Happy Friday. It's Friday. We made it to the end of the week. Well done. Well done. How are you doing? Are you okay? I have got, as you can hear, a string cut of a cold. Probably given to me by one of my little clients. I love you, but I don't love your snot. I wanted to come online this morning and talk to you about boundaries, just because things have been happening here and it's sort of opened my eyes to how you might be feeling, and I think I can help you with that. And because I'm doing my own work on boundaries, so yeah, I wanted to share some stuff with you. And I also want to tell you about something really exciting that I've created for you and for your kids. So please excuse the snotty voice, and I don't think the Tusha Clack could remove the bags this morning, but yeah, I will. I'm gonna tell you because I've been excited to talk to you about this stuff for ages. So regardless of the snot, I'm going to tell you. But if you're coming online to say hello, type your name in and say hi. And if you're just watching and you don't want to be seen, that's fine. And if you're watching on the replay, thank you for joining and welcome. So, boundaries, the B word, really interesting. So this week you may have seen that I've launched a masterclass for mummies on boundaries, and the reason I've done that is because I've been on a bit of a journey with boundaries, and all the pieces of the puzzle have kind of fallen into place for me in the last 2 weeks, I would say. And so I thought I can create a class to help mums, because I'm always trying to think of things like, what can I create to help you or the kids with most? And sometimes if we're not doing it, then the kids aren't getting it, and it makes more sense to help you. So I set up this class and I sent it out, and I said to everyone, come and join me for my masterclass on what day is it on? Hang on, let's have a look. So I get that bit right. Come and join me on my masterclass on the, oh good, I don't know what the date is. I want to say it's the 9th of October, so let's go with that, but if it isn't, then I can put it in. And on the 9th of October, come and join me and learn how to set boundaries. And yeah, so I wanted to share it with you. And it's really interesting because I sent it out in a newsletter, and quite a lot of people replied to the newsletter, and that's always a sign that I'm hitting the spot. And people were writing back and saying, oh, I'm interested in that, or oh, that sounds good, but where are you going to do it, and will it be on Facebook? And then the penny dropped, and I thought, people are worried that people are going to see them going on a boundaries course. People feel vulnerable. Maybe it's hard to say, I don't know how to do something. I don't know. I used to struggle with that a little bit. And I thought, but this is part of the problem, because if you worry about what other people think of you, you've got weak boundaries. And I'll try and explain what that is. So if a boundary is a fence between you and I, so imagine a fence around a garden, if that's the boundary, I keep my gate shut until such times as I want to open my gate and let you into my garden. It's much easier for me to keep my gate shut. If I open my gate, hi Emma, thanks for joining us. If I open my gate and let you in, it's much harder for me to get you out again. So if I imagine I've got my garden and my gate shut, if I've got really strong boundaries, I'm really clear about who I am. I know who I will and won't let into my garden, and I can hold that up. I don't get guilted into opening my gate to let people in because they tell me about their bad day, or I feel sorry for them, or they make me feel really bad, so I just think, oh, I'll just let them in for 5 minutes for a cup of tea. I can hold my boundary, okay? That applies to emotional stuff as well. So when we haven't got a clear sense of self, and everything around us defines who we are. So it's almost like we're not connected to ourselves. We don't refer to ourselves. We have to ask 10 people before we make a decision. We have to look at what everyone else is doing and make sure. I only know this, guys, because it's me, so I know it. So I'm not making anyone wrong. I'm saying I've been there and done it, and I'm still working through it. But I have this really external focus where I was the kid at school who wouldn't do a whole page of sums without going to the teacher and saying, can you tell me that I've got this one right before I do the next one? So everything was going on outside of me because I was cut off from my feelings, actually. So I wasn't able to feel my way into situations, which as a highly sensitive person, that's awful for me because I am a feeler. I feel my way into things. I feel my way to friendships and getting on with people. So when you are externally focused, how you feel or what you look like to you depends on what Ugg boots you're wearing, talking about myself here, what car you drive, where you live, how successful you are, how good you are at this, how good you are at that. And it's all externally focused outside of you. So what happens when somebody criticizes you or gives you negative feedback? Or what happens if you see something you don't like and your gate's not shut and that comes in here? That's weak emotional boundaries. So it's ironic, isn't it, that I set up a boundary masterclass for mums and everyone's interested, but they're worried about being seen and not having anonymity. But it's a bit chicken and egg, because the reason why you feel like that is because you've got weak emotional boundaries and you're not able to be discerning about what feedback you take from other people, if that makes sense. So have a think about that. Have a think about how externally focused you are on what you look like to other people. And you might do it as a family. You might try and present in a certain way to be accepted and fit in and belong. I mean, that's what we do. And I see this with my kids that are being bullied or feel alone or feel ostracized. They've got weak emotional boundaries because they're saying they won't play with me, or that person doesn't like me, or that person's mean to me. And someone being mean to you is never about you. No one is ever deserving of meanness. It's just because there's something going on for that person. And when you can shut the gate and you've got strong boundaries, you can let that one go. You can think, well, that's not about me, that's their stuff. And you can be more discerning about who you open the gate to. And so the reason I'm starting at this point with boundaries is because of the feedback I've had from the masterclass. So I know you guys want it. I had like quite a lot of responses from mums going, oh, my boundaries are shit. And yeah, I hear what you're saying and that's me, but I'm not sure if I want to come to the class because, you know, is that going to be on Facebook? Are people going to see me? Is everyone going to know that I can't set boundaries? Okay, guys, I'm putting my hands up. I couldn't set boundaries. I can actually set them now. It's just hard for me to uphold them with boundary bullies, but that's something I'm working on. That's why I can help the kids that are being bullied, because, you know, again, they need strong boundaries. They need strong boundaries, and you need emotional, physical, mental and spiritual boundaries. There's all different types of boundaries. And actually, in my mum's sanity pack that I'm writing, I'm doing a boundary thing for beginners to say, actually, boundaries start with you. Don't worry about using boundaries in parenting. Sort boundaries out for yourself first. And the best way to practice setting them is with a relationship that's got low risk factor. Now, that sounds a bit mean, but I'm thinking of people who you haven't invested a lot emotionally in the relationship. So a neighbour or someone in Waitrose that bumps into you, or, I don't know, a colleague at work, where there's not a big emotional investment. That's a good place to practice boundaries. Another reason why we get externally focused is we may have perfectionist tendencies, or we may have come from families that were quite critical or focused on the negative, or felt like everything had to be right. I see that quite a lot in addictive or alcoholic family systems. And it's really interesting. I only learnt the other day from my supervisor that if you have alcoholism in your family, so we have it in ours. So a child of an alcoholic is an adult child of an alcoholic, but then now there is also grandchildren of alcoholics. So it's almost like this toxic energy, because it's an illness that runs through the whole family. So, you know, my granddad was an alcoholic, and I think my other granddad quite liked to flutter on the dogs. So we have addiction on both sides of the family, and I am a grandchild of that. And, you know, I know there's a generation in between me, but it still affects me. And I have got quite an addictive personality, and I've worked really hard to be aware of that and have compassion and kindness for myself and give myself what I need in the moment. My current drug of choice is food. But again, I'm working on that. And we're all working on our stuff. You know, we're all a work in progress, and nobody's got this stuff nailed. And if anyone's telling you they have, or they're presenting like they have, and you're going on someone's Facebook page and thinking, oh, that family is so perfect, don't buy it. In fact, the perfect families are the ones where, you know, we don't know what goes on behind closed doors. We don't. So the judgment thing, the judgment about being worried about what other people think of you, is about them. It isn't about you, and it's about your emotional boundaries. So you've kind of got to weigh up the pros and cons. I need to come on the boundary course, but I'm worried about what that means in terms of what everyone thinks of me. What are the benefits? What are the benefits? Yeah, that's it, Emma. You're not perfect, but you have stacks of love and fun, and it's about balancing that out. But also not trying to be perfect to the world, like letting the and it's a vulnerable place, isn't it, for some of us who maybe haven't accepted all bits of ourselves to show up as we are, with all our hurty bits and all our other bits hanging out and not being great. You wouldn't have got me live streaming with a cold and bags 6 months ago. But I was just thinking this morning, no, I've got something important to say. So I said I was going to get online today, so I'm going to get online and do it. And it's really painful and exhausting to be a perfectionist. And it's really painful and exhausting for your kids. And you grow up externally focused on those other things. And that's why I have a bit of a bugbear with schools going down the whole grades Ofsted thing. Because, you know, you're not your grades. You're not your behaviour that you went on the naughty cloud today or whatever they do to motivate them in schools. You have to go inside and go, I know I'm a good person and I know that I'm doing the right thing. Thanks, Emma. Don't hesitate to work with Lisa because her work is totes epic. That's very kind of you. Thank you. So I've got 5 steps to setting boundaries and I've just printed them off. They're on my blog post, so smileyforlife.com/boundaries. Step 1 is to stop and take a breath. And you have to know when you're automatically reacting to your child or you're responding mindfully. And you know when you've been triggered by your child because you feel small or helpless or you feel angry and big and out of control. And that's because when you're triggered, you're going back to being that 5-year-old or 10-year-old, possibly. I don't know your story. I know when I'm triggered because I get big and angry. And I'm probably about 6 or 7 and I feel out of control and helpless. And instead of being able to take a breath and set a boundary, which is what will keep me safe, it's not about punishing the other person, it's about keeping me safe, I want to go on the attack. So I've worked really hard on that too. And part of that comes with that is being able to ask for what you need. So again, if you don't know yourself and you're always externally focused, and you can tell with kids because they say I don't know and they look at their mums for the answer, or they're always, mum, can you do this, mum, can you do that, because they're obedient and they do as they're told. Brilliant, all these good children, well-behaved children, but they don't know how to go inside and go, actually, I don't want to do that, it doesn't feel right for me. And that's, again, you know, at schools we force children to play with each other and be nice and share. But does that kid want to play with that other kid? How many of your kids' friends are friends because you're friends with their mum by default? Do those kids actually get on? Because like in my coaching room, kids will, bless them, say to me, I don't really like so-and-so's, but my mum's friends with so-and-so's mum, so we have to hang out a lot together or go on holiday together. And that child feels like they don't have a choice. Again, you can hang out with that person, but they don't have to be a VIP person. You don't have to let them into the garden. You can keep the gate shut. You can talk to them over the gate and be polite and wave at them every time they walk by and go, morning. But they're not coming in here. They're not VIPs. They don't get to come in your garden. And I did an exercise with a client yesterday where we drew on a piece of paper. We labelled 3 boxes. I don't like labelling, but it just kind of simplifies for children, you know, how to do it. We had friends that came in the VIP crown. We drew a crown. And you're only allowed in the crown if you are trustworthy, if you're kind, and I think if you're fun actually was another requirement. So that's like your friendship values. Then in the middle there was a star, and in the star was a lot of what we would call, grown-ups would call, acquaintances. So people that you know, you hang out with, you might go for a glass of wine with, you get on really well, but you don't go deep with them. You just stay up here, talk about, you know, what's on offer at Sainsbury's and what you've bought off the internet and what the weather's like and what's going on at school, but they don't get to come into the VIP. The gate stays shut. And then the third group we had at the top of the page was a black hole. And we said people that go in the black hole are people that are rude, unkind, people that hurt, people that gossip, people that tell fibs. We had a massive list of stuff. And from that, we were able to identify for that child that she was actually hanging around with a lot of people that needed to go in the black hole, or she needed to set boundaries with them and see how they responded to that. And if she set a boundary, could she bring them into the star group of people or into the crown? It's quite hard to explain. I hope I've explained that okay. But that's a really good way to kind of see where people fit in your life and how you can set boundaries. And you know, the people that go in the black hole, it's really hard to set boundaries with people like that, because they push and push and push and push. But children push boundaries because they'll push boundaries when they don't feel safe. So they're almost like saying, "Mummy, I need you to hear what I'm saying." So we've got to stop and take a breath and know when we've been triggered. And in my blog post, I write about 3 questions you can ask yourself, so you know that this trigger is nothing to do with what your child's doing, or nothing to do with what's going on for the person. It's a familiar thing to you that sent you back to being little again. So you can read it over on the blog and sort of pull it apart. Step 2 is to connect with empathy. And you know, I talk about connection all the time, and I've written an ebook about it, and I get parents to connect through love languages. So you can check all of that out on the blog. It's such a simple premise of speaking the same language, because children need to feel your love. And in a conflict situation, you need to know that you're both on the same team. And I think what happens when you've got an angry parent or an angry child, it feels like the connection between them is stretched or weakened. So, and having empathy, like empathy is your ninja parenting tool, but you've got to have real empathy. Like you've got to, because I you know, I sometimes hear grown-ups say, "Oh, what, it's a blue cup, just have a blue cup, don't, oh, you're being silly now, oh, stop that." If you went to your friend with a problem and said, "Oh, my husband's doing my head in," or "My boss at work is a bully," and your friend said, "Oh, for God's sake, get a grip, you're just being silly," you'd be like, "Rude, actually," wouldn't you? So it's really important. It's really, really important that you have empathy. And again, if you read my ebook, I've got a 30-day connection plan for parents to ramp up your connection with your child, but learn how to set boundaries with empathy and learn how to be with your child and how to connect in with them with love. And it's very, very simple, but very, very powerful. Step 3 is set your boundary and mean it. And this is where I think we fall down, don't we? Because our kids, when they get a bit whiny and we're a bit tired and we're just like, "Oh yeah, have another box of Jaffa cakes, that's fine." We've got to stay with ourselves, and we've got to be not triggered by our child's response to that, not guilted or shamed or panicked into reacting. We've got to sit with the uncomfortable feelings, and that's what a lot of us really struggle with. If we were brought up in homes where anger or tears were uncomfortable, then if our child starts crying or our child starts kicking off, we are going to find it hard to sit with those feelings. But that's part of setting a boundary. And then the 4th step is that you hold your boundary, but you keep a dialogue open for feelings. So by that I mean, you say, "I have already said that you could have 1 Jaffa cake and you've had 1, so I'm sorry, but you can't have any more. I can hear that you would really like another one, and you don't like what Mummy's telling you. So I'm acknowledging how they feel, and I'm reflecting back to them what's going on for them. Or I can see that's making you really angry now. Or you were really angry, your face has gone all red." And because you need to label feelings for kids because they don't know. And sometimes when we get triggered, we don't even know that we're in it. It's like a red mist descends, isn't it? But we encourage feedback. So we say, "I'm not going to let you have another Jaffa cake because you're holding your boundary, but I want to hear about how upset you are, or I'm interested to hear how that makes you feel." You have to stay calm while you're doing that. That's the tricky bit. So that's the encourage the feelings. And then when you encourage the feelings and you let the feelings out and they pass, then that's when you can give choices and you can hand it back to them and you can unpack it and you can problem solve. And you cannot problem solve until the feelings have gone. Like none of us can as adults. Think like when you're really pissed off. Like there's no way that you can unpack it and deal with it in a logical, calm manner when you're like fuming. No way at all. So they're the things I talk about in the blog, but my masterclass is pretty much 90 minutes of making those 5 steps apply. I'm also going to get you to look at your boundary blocks and what stops you from setting boundaries with your kids. And so that's your triggers, really, what triggers you and what to do when you're triggered by your child. I posted a meme last night, actually, which spells out slow down, and that's quite a good thing to look at if you get triggered by your child. You get an activity booklet, and then it's 90 minutes. So at the end, there'll be a Q&A for you to ask me anything you like. And then as a bonus, I'm going to give you 10 scripts. 10 scripts of common boundary busting things that kids do, like around bedtime, not eating, listening, homework, not going to school. And I've got a few others as well. But my tip for today is, if you're really lost with your child and you feel like the energy is rising and emotion is like getting to crisis point, take a breath and say to your child, and this is really connecting with love, this is like what would love do, and say, wow, hang on a minute, let's just stop. I didn't want this conversation to turn out like this. Can we start again? And then just tumbleweed, don't say anything, and see what your child's response is. They might have reached fever pitch and be going, no, I don't want to. But, you know, it's kind of like take a breath, and they call it a do-over in the States. But I love that, because how many times have you gotten into conversations or power struggles with your kids, or with in any relationship, and it's all escalating, and you've turned into the child, me, and they're going me, and it's not going anywhere, and it's not going to get any resolution. But it's really powerful to kind of just like stop, take a breath, let there be a silence, make eye contact with your child, maybe go over and put your hand on their arm if they're not flailing around, and say, oh, listen, I really didn't want this conversation to end like this. Can we start again? And maybe you need to agree that you go off for 5 minutes and have time out, and then you come back and then you discuss. It depends how upset your child is. It's quite hard for me to sort of gauge what situation we're talking about here, which is why I've done the scripts, because I think when emotions are really high, I'm not a fan of leaving kids alone with their big emotions. Depending on how old they are and the child, you see, it's all different. I was sent to my room with all my anger and it crucified me. But another kid might say to you, I just need to be by myself to calm down. And you can have these conversations with your children about what their needs are. So again, it's about training them to ask for what they need. And that's a big part of setting boundaries. You can set the boundary and then you say, but I'd like you to, or can I make a simple request, or can you do this? You have to be able to ask for what you need. So I hope that's helpful. I hope that's helpful. And talking about boundaries, there was a really interesting phone-in on Phil and Holly on This Morning yesterday. Someone told me about it. And they did a poll and they said, do grandparents have rights to their grandchildren? Now, it was really interesting. Can you guess what the results of the poll were? Because it was close, but I think it was like 48%. 48% no, they don't have any rights. So the majority was they do. Now I have a theory on that, and I'm gonna dare to share. Because if you come from a healthy family, you would never understand why you would want to stop your own parents from having time with your grandchildren, right? You couldn't comprehend what it would be like to have a parent like that if you had a loving parent. But if you had a parent who was an alcoholic or had mental health issues or was toxic or hadn't looked at their stuff, and they had treated you badly and continued to treat you badly as an adult, why would you then let them spend time with your kids? And there's boundaries, like who's the legal guardian of that child? It's the parent. So I was with the minority thinking that actually grandparents don't have rights. Probably going to get shot for saying that. But because I think, you know, if you come from a loving family, you couldn't understand why somebody would enforce those boundaries. But it happens a lot, actually. It happens a lot. So helpful blogs for boundaries are smileyforlife.com/boundaries. And then I've also written a shed load of blogs around being a good enough parent, not trying to be perfect, dealing with shame, dealing with blame, just all of the subjects that kind of sit around boundaries and being authentic and speaking your truth. That comes under a blog post called What Makes a Perfect Mum. And then there's another blog post about saying, are we expecting too much of our children? So I think when we make requests or we set boundaries, we have to make sure that they're age appropriate. Like, is my request, am I expecting my child to do too much? You know, how is my child feeling? What's going on for my child? Again, meeting my child where they are and not making it about what I want. seeing what it's like for them. And I think when we get caught up in this really busy whirlwind and we're on a bit of a roll and a to-do list, we kind of forget. We forget that they've had, if they're little and they've had a really long day at school and they're tired and they're settling in, and we've got our routine on the boil, and we're making all these demands on them, and they're like inside they're thinking, Mummy, I'm really tired, I don't want to do that, but they don't feel like they can say that to you. Again, boundaries. Do you ever let your kids say no to you, just out of interest, if you're watching? Give me a thumbs up if you when it's not dangerous or it's appropriate, that sometimes if your child says, I don't want to wear those shoes, or I don't want to wear a coat, or I don't know, they make a request, or they refuse a request, do you ever let them have their no? Because you'd be a really good person for them to practice setting boundaries with. And, oh, you do, excellent. Or, I hear that you're saying no to me. And then, you might have to set a boundary yourself and say, but I can't let you do that. I want to keep you safe, or I love you. I can't let you do that because I love you too much. But I'm hearing that you don't want to do it, and I understand how that feels for you. Empathy, empathy, empathy. Hi, Kirsty. Yeah, you do let them say no. Yeah, I think you need to. I think you need to. And I think, hi, Lisa. I think you need to let them sometimes be the steerer of their own ship. Well, you don't think it's cold today, you don't want to wear a coat. Okay, I'm hearing that. I think it is cold, so what can we do? What are your choices? And then they'll say, take my coat with me, or I'll put a coat in the back of the car, or whatever. But there's no point in getting into a massive power struggle going, you will wear a coat. But I think a lot of parents do that because they think, we can't rock up at the school gates without a coat on, it's -5. People will think I'm a shit mum. Yeah, hi Louisa, it depends on what it is. Totally does depend on what it is. So the other thing I want to share with you today, which I'm so excited about, and I'm really gutted that I've got a cold because my soft launch was not meant to go in this way. I have developed a kindness kit for children. Can we get some hearts and likes and yeah? Because, and this kindness kit covers a multitude of issues that I'm seeing, or struggles that children are having. It'd be great if you're bullied, it'd be great if you're angry, it'd be great if you can't sleep, it'd be great if you've got separation anxiety. It's very simplified, isn't it, at one level, calling it a kindness kit, but what it's actually doing is teaching children to self-soothe and to take care of themselves, and to be in their bodies and listen to their intuition and go within and think. And it lists, hang on, let me get my list, because the content is, it kind of just happened quite randomly. I started building it, not as a kindness kit, and then that's what it turned into. But I'll tell you what you get. Where's my list, Parksy? Where is it? Okay. So I'm going to show you what the goodie box is. You do get a box of kindness in the post, but that's just a small part of it. But what you get is you learn the importance of being kindness, the energy of being kind, of having self-compassion and being able to forgive yourself. And I think you're going to be really surprised when you learn what those benefits are, like in terms of your physical body, like for your heart. And how nice would it be if some of us had known about self-care growing up? I just think, wow, I wish I'd known about it, because I'm really rubbish at it. I have to really force myself to listen to what I need. I think mums do as well, because you're managing lots of other people's lives, aren't you? You're the linchpin of the family in most situations. And then how to bring the art of relaxing into everyday life. So we're talking about, being really kind to our bodies and bringing calm from the inside. It also teaches you how to ground and zip up your energy, which is great if you're a sensitive bear. Teaches you how to self-soothe, teaches you how to have self-compassion, how intuition is the key to emotional resilience or bounce back ability when kids get disappointed, so they can go within and fire themselves up again. How to reconnect with your child when emotions are fraught. I kind of covered that today about the setting boundaries. And then there's a crystal meditation, a game you can play with the crystals. You get the crystals in the pack, calm colouring sheets, a kindness checklist and plan. So it's like, are you being mean to yourself? Are you being kind to yourself? Now, mums, I've written this for kids, but I know that when you see what's in the pack, you're going to be thinking, crikey, I'm so mean to myself. I could probably do, so you could print off a plan for yourself and a plan for your child, or you could make it like a family goal and say, we're going to inject more kindness into this family. We're going to start being more kind to each other. Because do you know what? That's what we all need. We all just need to be loved and accepted, and it starts there, really, doesn't it? A beautiful guided visualization called Heart Lock, so that connects you to your child at bedtime. And then I've put in 2 bonus videos for mum, which is all about using gratitude to save your sanity. So when the shit hits the fan and you're just totally losing it, there's some really good tools in there to recognise. And that's going back to what we talked about earlier about triggers, being triggered and not knowing how to deal with it. So shall I show you what's in the goodie box? So it will come in the post. It will be branded, but this is just the box it comes in. It will come with a sticker, and I've got rainbow tissue paper to put it in. But in it you get 4 crystals. So think about children who need transitional objects that have got separation anxiety. Think about children that want something to hold to represent that connection. So we've got rose quartz, angelite, selenite and amethyst. And in the pack, you get a little booklet that tells you what the crystals do, what energy they give off, how you can clean them and look after them, how you can use your crystals. And there's the crystal game, which teaches you how to use your intuition. So you get a little bag of 4 crystals. I'm mad about crystals at the moment, like absolutely bonkers for them. And my kids are as well. I've been giving out selenite wands like sweets. I've been going, have one of those, put it on your bedside table, have one of those, protect your energy, tune into your intuition. You also get, so I've had these made just for us, Epsom's rainbow coloured Epsom salts. So you get a little pack of those that you pop in the bath. Now Epsom salts are really good. They contain magnesium, so they're really good for your nervous systems. They're good for kids with anxiety. But energetically, they also clean down your energy field. So if you've picked up any ickiness from any meanies at school or been shouted at by a teacher or an adult's in a mood with you, have an Epsom salts bath. I have them regularly as a way of, as part of my self-care routine really for working, doing the work, the emotional work that I do with the kids. But she's made lavender scented rainbow salts for us. How cool is that? And my niece tried them out and she sent me a video of her plopping them into the bath, and she's 5 and she was going, these help me sleep better. And I was just thinking, great, just get that mindset on, that sleep is good for you and I need to help myself go to sleep. I need to train my body to go to sleep. Then you also get, I just love the name of this. This just cracks me up. I don't know why. Badger Balm. How funny is that? You get a little thing of Badger Balm, night balm. It's organic. And it comes from the States, actually. I've had it sent from the States. So, and you can put that on your temples, or you can use that to massage your child as a connection thing at night time. But obviously this, it's all the senses at night time to get them out of their heads and into their bodies. So touch, smell, relaxing sounds. So some Badger Balm. But you can take that in your school bag if you get anxiety. Put a bit on your hand, just sniff it, calm you right down. It's brilliant. And then these beautiful silver hand-stamped affirmation key rings. Can you see that there? That says kindness is magic. I've got another one that says I'm safe and protected, and I've got another one that says, I think it says I am loved or something about love, but there's all different types of key rings. So you get that in the little box. What do we think of that? But I know that children who've got anxious attachment, who've got a lot of the challenges that I work with, they need tangible things to hold and to use, and they want practical things they can see. A lot of the work we do is intangible and they don't realise what's going on. But I thought if I sold the coaching element of it, the training stuff, with a tangible item, that makes it more attractive to those people who want something to touch and hold. So you just sign up for the course. It's 45 quid. You get all those things that I talked about, and then I will just send you the little box out in the post, and you'll get an email from me saying, how are you getting on? Do you need any help? And if you get stuck, or that it brings up stuff for you as you start to realise all this kindness thing's a bit of a struggle because we're a bit super angry in this house, or we've gotten really shouty, then you can book a Skype call with me and I will help you through it. So how does that sound, guys? It's called Smiley's Little Box of Kindness. And I'm very excited about it because I just think it can help a number of children, anxious children, angry children, children with separation anxiety. I think it could really help them. I want one, but I can't because I've got to save them all for you though. My VIP clients that work for me get one of these as part of their package. Yeah, you like it. Awesome, awesome. So if you're interested in buying a kindness box, then you can pick one up in the shop. So that's smiley4life.com/shop. I'll put all the links in when I come offline. While I'm online, has anyone got any questions about setting boundaries or about being triggered or about anything while I'm here? I haven't got another call with a client till 11 o'clock, so I'm here if you want to ask me something. Let's have a look and see what you're saying. How much is the anxiety course and the Skype? Okay, good question, Louisa. So it's not a course. What I'm doing is I'm offering a bundle of Skype calls, and you're going to ask me how much they are, and I actually don't know. So you can have a single Skype call with me, or you can have a bundle, and it's, I think, off the top of my head, I think it's £70 for 45 minutes for a single call, but then you can make a saving if you book a block. The Skype calls are not the same as the one-to-ones I do with my clients. The Skype calls are specifically for children that are in the online learning den. That's a different type of learning. That's people who are learning at home and want to do it for themselves. The children that come to my coaching room, that's more premium because it's one-to-ones with me. Does that make sense, Louisa? I hope I'm making sense. When you get into the den and you buy the course, the link is in there to go to the page. The link is not advertised on my website because it's two different things. There's the learning den with all the and you know there's other online courses in there now at the moment, and where you can get the Skype element, and then there's the one-to-ones, which is the face-to-face in my room. But I wanted to be able to offer a different price point to different people so that I can help more people, basically. And the Skype means that if you don't live near me and you live far away, you can still have Smiley coaching. You just do it. I don't think we're going to do it on Skype. I think we're going to do it on Zoom, because my counsellor told me the other day that under the BACP, Skype is not always, they say that Skype isn't always safe for children. So I would probably use Zoom, but it will be online. It won't be face-to-face. Good. Kirsty says, this will get these Christmas presents for my kids. They'll love it. Yeah, it's really lovely. And when you go into the school and you get your pack, it's all broken down into different stages. You know, it starts off with a welcome note, and you get things that you can print off, and you print off your kindness and checklist list. I don't know if I can show you, if you can see. That's the gratitude bonus kit for mums. So you get all those little worksheets for you to look at your triggers and how you can see the good. And then look, that's the kindness pack. Can you see that for the children? So there's a kindness checklist and looking at how they can take care, and it's making them accountable and teaching them self-care and self-soothing at a really early age, which I think is vital. Has anyone got any other questions while I'm online? Just going to sniff my badger balm. So, I know not everyone likes lavender, but this is quite mild, this one, and I chose this one because they've got lots of different balms, the badger balm people, but this one's specifically for children because it's quite mild. And the salts smell nice, but they're not too overpowering. Right, so you can have a Smiley bath. Get your happy on. So yes, and mums, if you want to come and join me on the boundary workshop, the live class I'm doing, can I just say that you have complete anonymity if you show up for the live class, if you choose to. And what I mean by that is when you come into the room where the class is held online, I will say to you all, switch off your cameras, switch off your mics, and I'll give you instructions on how to do this. So before you get online, you won't be seen. And you can register, and you can register for the class you can give yourself a different name. So no one knows who you are. No one knows who you are. At the end of the Q&A bit, if you put your hand up, I will ask you if it's okay to switch your mic on. I won't switch your camera on if you don't want me to. I will switch your mic on, and then we can have a dialogue. So because I'm aware that people are conscious that they're thinking, am I going to rock up to this class and there's going to be that woman from the school gates that I don't really like? But going back to what I said at the beginning, it's chicken and egg, because the reason you worry about judgment is because you've got weak emotional boundaries, and that's why boundaries would help you. Imagine going to the school gate, or imagine showing up and not giving a toss about what anyone else thinks of you. How would that feel as a parent? How would that feel? I think it would feel amazing. What freedom would you have to just be yourself? Do you know why children with really loving, kind parents suffer with severe anxiety? Louisa, that's a really good question. I can't answer that because I don't know enough about the situation. Can you tell me more about what's going on for that child? And if it's separation anxiety, it's to do with attachment. So there's different types of anxiety, isn't there? There's social anxiety, there's general anxiety disorder, which is just like the black cloud that follows you around everywhere saying something bad's going to happen. There's separation anxiety. Can you define what type of anxiety it is? So as lots of you know, I've got an attachment disorder, which means I'm not securely attached. So I have anxiety because of my attachment disorder and various other things, but we won't get into that today. But I'm not securely attached to my mum. And there's different types of attachment. So it's quite interesting to read around that, which is why children who are fostered or adopted, they have like rage. And their rage is just they have disorganised attachment because they're not plugged into the person who grew them in their tummy. And attachment is formed in the womb, apparently. Some people will tell you. You have to make your own conclusions about it. There are some blog posts that I've written on my blog about attachment. And if you're not securely attached to your mum and you haven't worked through your attachment issues, the likelihood is that you are not securely attached to your child. And what does secure attachment look like? They did an experiment where they put a child in a room and the caregiver left the room. Okay? A child who is securely attached will cry when the caregiver leaves the room because it's natural when people that we love who go away, it's upsetting. When the parent comes back, the child is pleased to see the parent. That is a secure attachment because the child is learning when you go away from me, mummy, and you say goodbye and you come back, I know we're all right. Insecure attachment can be anxious or avoidant. When the caregiver goes, the child can be very sort of like not bothered really. And it's why I always say to parents, don't sneak out the room without saying goodbye. Because if you've got a child that's anxiously attached, that's terrifying for them. They're like, where the hell are you? Oh, okay, you just leave me here and go and I don't know where anyone is. And that's why they get insecure. Can you tell me a bit more about the anxiety? Because I can answer that question, but I'm not sure if I'm saying the right things. It's a bit hard because I don't know enough about the situation. Yeah, so anxious and avoidant attachment, a child. And I can remember when my mum used to go away, I can remember as a child, like if my parents went away on holiday and came back, I'd be so mad at my mum for leaving me. I can remember having the feeling of her coming back and they'd always bring gifts, lovely, and I didn't want to open them. And I was really annoyed with her for going. Like and almost like, how dare you leave me here alone? Because I couldn't be on my own. So I don't feel like that now, but I'm just saying that's how I felt as a child. Also, anxiety can be created by lack of boundaries. Friend's daughter who's super worried about every situation. She worries about everything. If dad jumps off the diving board, what if he doesn't come back? So that tells me that child just doesn't feel safe. I can't read the rest of that, Louisa, because I'm on my phone and it kind of cuts off at I can't go on. I hear what you're saying. So that child is fearful. Everything around her feels out of control. So that could be a lack of boundaries, not feeling safe. Children who are enmeshed with their mums, so who haven't separated themselves out from their mums for one reason or another. Children who feel unsafe are looking for safety, and that's why they have anxiety, because they're constantly looking for safety all the time. So there's something in that setup, and obviously without speaking to the family, I don't know what that is, but there's something in that setup that's making that children feel unsafe. I would say it's attachment. 9 times out of 10 it's attachment. And attachment isn't anyone's fault. But you can get secure attachment. You can learn how to securely attach. But it just takes a bit of effort. So I hope that helps. Does that help, Louisa? I hope that helps. Anxiety is also a symptom of the world that we live in, which is pretty crazy, to be fair. You know, overscheduled, not getting enough sleep, and children, and this is why I want children to have the kindness kit and go within and listen to themselves, because they're being pushed from pillar to post all day long at school. They're following a timetable. They get told what to do. They come home. We're barking orders them, put your shoes on, get in the car, do this, go to recorder practice, go to piano, go swimming, blah, 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 blah. And they get into bed and their brains are buzzing like ours are. And we're going, go to sleep. I want to go downstairs and have a glass of wine. And actually, they don't know how to self-soothe. They don't know how to self-soothe. I'm glad that helps. Good. You know, if your friend wants to contact me, I'm Lisa at smileyforlife.com. Can book a parents-free clarity call for 20 minutes. And we can just hash it out on the phone and see what they need. It might not be smiley coaching they need. It might be something else, but I'm happy to signpost them on. I'm happy to help. Okay. So, guys, that's it from me. Boundaries, 5 steps to boundaries. Go and read the blog. Maybe you'll be able to implement it on your own. Maybe you'll want to come to the mum's class. Remember, you have complete anonymity, and it's a bit chicken and egg. And my lovely kindness kit. So excited. All right. But I hope you all have lovely weekends. And thank you so much for being here. And thank you for listening to me. I'm going to go off and speak to my client now. And then I think I'm going to go lie down with a lemon sip and feel sorry for myself. It's like I've got man flu. All right. Thanks, guys. Feeling the love. Take care of yourselves. Be kind. Bye.